EuRA 2024. Welcome to the extraordinary country that is Portugal. And welcome to an exploration of that uncharted territory beyond the horizon. Beyond the horizon, isn't that a concept to grapple with? What does it suggest to you, beyond the horizon? That brave new world, vaguely apprehended, but not really yet discovered or completely understood. A brave new world of mystery, mythical, magical, but somehow possibly very menacing. And how does that make you feel when you grapple with concepts like that? Perhaps you're the sort of person who feels extremely optimistic and excited, a frisson of excitement when you think of the possibilities of such uncharted territory. Or perhaps you're the sort of person who feels rather frightened and anxious when you think of the risks, the dangers, the perils of such a brave new world. Or perhaps you're one of those persons who just says, enough already, reluctant to even think about it. I've got enough on my plate at the moment without contemplating all these ephemeral things out there. Or perhaps you're the sort of person who thinks a combination of all three. Well, over the next few days, we're going to embark on a journey towards the brave new world of artificial intelligence and the ramifications of this tsunami, this revolution on your industry, the global mobility industry. But before we do that, I think it's important to bear in mind that the greater the changes in life, the greater the disruption, the more important it is to hang on to your anchors, to remember your true North Star, your lodestar. And here at EuRA, what we hang on to, those immutable ideals that will never change, is the concept of community. You are, we are a community, a family. And what does that mean as a community and as a family? It means that we have certain values that we all share. And a couple of those values I would suggest to you are your inalienable values of hospitality and inclusivity. And you know, what is it that binds community? What creates community? When in days of yore, navigators used to set sail from Portugal, they would have a ceremony, a ritual at the port before they left. And a ceremony and a ritual that, so long as I'm here, I want to stick to is the ceremony of welcoming new people to our community. So I'd like all our newcomers, please, to stand up and be welcomed into the EuRA community. You are so very welcome. And there's another ritual that, so long as I'm here, we are going to stick to. And that is the value of gratitude. Now, when you are the moderator of a conference, you feel like the captain of a ship. It's not my ship, it's your ship. It's the good ship EuRA. And I'm privileged to have been entrusted with the task of bringing this ship back into safe harbor without too many passengers overboard by the end of Thursday evening. And you know, when you are the captain of a ship, you want around you the very best crew. Now, I have a crew, we have a crew, you have a crew over there, Michael and the missing link. These are the kind of guys you want with you when all of a sudden the iceberg that nobody clocked hoves into view. These are the guys that you want with you when Moby Dick comes bobbing along and has clearly got the hump. These are the guys that you want with you when the gale is gusting 9 to 10. So please, a round of applause for our absolutely fantastic AV crew, Michael and Missing Link. Right, right then, let's sail straight into the eye of the storm. The brave new world, the tsunami, the fifth revolution of artificial intelligence. Because make no mistake about it, artificial intelligence, the tools of artificial intelligence, this is a subject that we're going to spend a lot of time on over the next few days. These tools of artificial intelligence have the capacity to do away with vast numbers of jobs. Just let that sink in for people working in the global mobility business. Artificial intelligence has the capacity to make millions, tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people redundant. Now I hear some people pushing back because you see, artificial intelligence is very sneaky. It works in a very insidious way. First of all, artificial intelligence tools will help human beings do their job, perform certain tasks more efficiently, more effectively. That frees the human beings up. We have more time to concentrate on other stuff. Maybe for the first time in your professional life, have a social life. And this is all terrific. This is more or less what's happening now. Phase 1. Phase 2, those sneaky, insidious artificial intelligence tools can completely take over the role that you are doing. Phase 3, entire sectors can be taken over and function with exponentially fewer human beings. That is what we are realistically looking at. Because this is such an important point, I'm going to give you another analogy. Imagine you're on the Jeremy Kyle show. And for those of you dealing with some of the behavior at last year's gala dinner, you'll know what I'm talking about. You're on the Jeremy Kyle show, and you are one of those overwhelmed mothers, and you've brought in the au pair to help you with a few domestic chores and the children. And to begin with, it is just fantastic. Because the au pair, she's wonderful. She's never tired and grumpy like you are. She's massively efficient. She never gets things wrong. That's phase 1. And you're very happy. You've got time to concentrate on your bridge or your piano playing or whatever it is you wanted to do in a social life which you've never had before. And the domestic chores, that grunt work that nobody ever thanks you for, that's all being done. And you've got time to concentrate on your job so that you are exponentially more efficient professionally. It's swimming. Next phase, the children start to prefer the au pair to you. More worrying still, your partner starts to prefer the au pair more than you. Soon enough, you're out on your ear and a new blended family has been formed. That's phase 2. Phase 3, the au pair has had enough of all of them. She's kicked the partner and the husband and the children out, and now she's got the family house. That is phase 3 of artificial intelligence. That is what we are looking at. I hope I'm frightening you enough here. Because I've got a trigger warning now. Because those McKinsey analysts are quite frightening people. So the next part of this presentation is going to be a bit alarming, so those of you of a nervous disposition can look away now. Michael, we have a slide from McKinsey here. So you know I'm not just making it up, which I often do, but not in this instance. McKinsey's early analysis of ChatGPT, and this is the first iteration of GPT, it's going on to the 3rd and 4th shortly, suggests that it boosted productivity of mid-level college-educated professionals by 40% on many tasks. That's phase 1. You've just hired the au pair. It's great. Phase 2. McKinsey estimates that more than half of all jobs could see many of their tasks automated by machines in the next 7 years. Phase 2. The kids prefer the au pair, and so does the partner. Phase 3. McKinsey estimates that 52 million Americans are working in roles with medium exposure to automation by 2030. Phase 3, she's got the family house. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Well, the issues are there, and the problem that you have to deal with, I have to deal with, and many of us have to deal with, is what a lot of the commentators are calling the pessimism aversion trap. Now, the pessimism aversion trap, well attested in the psychological literature, is when a problem is so huge, so frightening, so alarming, you simply stick your head in the sand and you say, couldn't happen. It's all going to be all right. It's not going to be all right unless we all work together to do something about it. Because this is happening faster than you could ever imagine. I want you to go back to one of the previous industrial revolutions, the introduction of the steam train. Some of you may remember that. The introduction of the steam train, 1830, the first passenger railway between Manchester and Liverpool in the northwest of England. It was extraordinary. This marvel of engineering, this revolution in the way people would be transported around. Everybody turned up, all the great and the good of the land turned up to the opening of the new passenger railway between Manchester and Liverpool. The Prime Minister, who was the Duke of Wellington, the local MP for Liverpool, Mr. William Huskisson, and they all awaited the arrival of this extraordinary piece of machinery. And in it came, and they were standing on the railway track. But you know what happened? So bedazzled were they by this extraordinary creature, this new engineering miracle, that they just stood there like rabbits in their headlight. And the oncoming train ploughed into a crowd on the railway line, killing, amongst others, the MP for Liverpool, William Huskisson. That's how fast this new tsunami is crashing in on us. Fast. Apart from that, widespread, like nothing before we have imagined. Taking you back now to the world, the revolution of computerdom, IT, technology. That was the last revolution, right? 1940s, the then president of IBM, Thomas J. Watson, said, I think we have a market, a world market for 5 computers. 1940. See what's happened since then. Things are happening faster, they're going to be more widespread, and they're going to be more radical than we can even imagine. And the other caveat, don't think there's anything that any of you or us can do to stop it. It's like the Luddites in the late 18th and 19th century in the United Kingdom, who thought that by breaking the looms, crashing the machinery that was doing the knitting for them, they could save their own jobs. No, there is nothing we can do about it in that department. So our challenge over the next few days is to figure out what we as EuRA can do about things. And that is going to be your challenge. Well, I hope I've got you all sufficiently frightened by now. Because we're now coming in for the resolution of the discord. The answer, my friends, is in history. Now, Mark Twain is accredited with saying that history never repeats itself. But sometimes it rhymes. History is rhyming. The answer to these questions are all encapsulated in this extraordinary country we call Portugal. Now, why is that? I want you to imagine that you're living in the back end of the 15th century. Now, that won't be difficult for those of you living in post-Brexit Britain. But you're actually living in Portugal, the latter half of the 15th century, and you don't know it yet, but you are in the country that is about to inaugurate the modern global era. And why is that? That is because you as Portugal, this extraordinary country, are sitting at the crossroads between the old world and the new world. You are in a pivotal position. The old world, you're a Mediterranean European country. Culturally, historically, geographically, you are steeped in European history. You have been invaded by the Carthaginians from Tunis, North Africa, the Romans, the Moors, the Arabs, and have benefited from that rich amalgam of culture and wisdom. At the same time, you're out there, as you see here in this wonderful marina that we're in, looking out over to the Atlantic and the vistas beyond, and you're wondering what's going on. So you're in this pivotal position between the old world and the new world, with the wisdom of the old world, and yet the guts, the pluck, the courage, the entrepreneurialism of those looking out over an expanse, wondering what's happening in that brave new world over there. You, Portugal, are on the cusps of becoming amazing. Add to this mix, this golden era of Portuguese history, a luminary. Let me tell you about a hero of mine, King João II, King John II. Now, João II, extraordinary visionary, extraordinary leader, extraordinary statesman, he comes in for a bit of flack from historians because this was the king who turned down Columbus when Columbus came looking for money for his expedition. And everybody takes the mickey out of João for turning down Columbus. João was completely right. Columbus was a charlatan and a chancer. Columbus had no idea what a line of longitude represented. His maps were all wrong. As we know, he ended up in the West Indies instead of in India. And because of all the stupid bragging that he used to do to los reyes españoles, Isabel and Ferdinand, about everything he'd found, the Portuguese managed to leverage that to carve up the world in such a way that they got the best deal. So he comes in for a lot of flack for turning down Columbus. Big tick. Slightly less positive, he comes in for a bit of flack because João was the kind of guy that used to invite family members round for dinner and have them stabbed to death. Now, I see a slight division in the room here. Half the room is thinking, oh my God, how terrible. And the other half of the room is thinking, yeah, I've got in-laws like that. But João was a visionary. He was a visionary because he had what McKinsey have now identified as the 3 characteristics you have to have if you are going to survive and thrive and be successful. Agility, innovation, and exploration were on his agenda. First of all, let me talk about his concept of agility. Why was it that the Portuguese had the edge over everybody else in the maritime field at that stage? They had boats, the caravel boats, which were extraordinary pieces of navigational technology. They had flat bottoms. Why would you have a flat bottom in a ship? Why? Because the Portuguese had recognized they didn't know how far south Africa went, or indeed if it ever ended. But they were hoping that if they sailed down that coastline at some stage, they might be able to sail off through the landmass, reach the Nile, and get across the world. Who knew? Didn't really happen, but nonetheless, flat-bottom boats, they could store more food, they could keep sailing for longer. Big technological improvement there. These caravels also had triangular sails instead of the conventional sails, which meant that eventually, when they did get going, they could set sail, catch the trade winds, which would then blow them west across the Cape of Good Hope towards India. So that piece of agility, that one ship, thinking of a ship in a different way, helped the Portuguese navigate the world and build the empire they did. I want you to start thinking about things you're already doing now, equipment, services, tools of the trade you already have that can be tweaked so that you become world beaters. This is what this conference is all about, working with what we've got to do new stuff. Innovation. Now here Zhao was a real winner. Zhao created what he called the Council of Scholars. And in this Council of Scholars, he brought all the brightest and the best. Didn't matter your background, didn't matter your education, your social status, your religion. If you were bright and you were the best, you were in his tent. All the best cartographers, all the best shipbuilders, all the best astronomers, all the top intellectuals, including the Jewish intellectuals who were being persecuted everywhere else in Europe. That was his USP. That was his competitive edge. The brightest and the best, inclusivity, diversity, and blended teams. And these extraordinary teams came up with the ideas and the wherewithal to create the greatest empire the world had seen at that stage. And then exploration. Well, you've all heard of Vasco da Gama. You've all heard of how that empire expanded. But Vasco da Gama was not the navigator or the explorer. Vasco was the diplomat who used to negotiate the trade deals. The navigator, Bartolomeu Dias, was the cleverest navigator on the face of the earth at that stage. And between them, another blended team, they took Portugal from India to Japan to Brazil. The whole world was Portuguese oyster. That is what you can do as a smaller nation with all the big dogs around from Spain and France, and apparently your best ally, perfidious Albion, who would let you down anytime they could, the Brits. But that is how the Portuguese, with innovation, exploration, and agility, created a fabulous empire in the teeth of opposition. It's thinking like that, thinking in those ways, that's going to help the global mobility business navigate this fifth revolution, this tsunami coming your way. So, in conclusion, EuRA. Here's the thing. What a lot of analysts and commentators on artificial intelligence fail to realize is this. They compare a human being's performance, one individual's performance, with that of an artificial intelligence tool. That's the wrong way to look at it. Everything great in life, everything worth achieving, anything that's ever been crowned with success has been a group effort, a community effort. And I think we have to start thinking of ourselves as a community that is in itself a tool of artificial intelligence, because if you think about it, aggregated in this room, there is a morass of structured and unstructured information, tribal knowledge, a capacity to work together on shared goals, figuring out the systems and the processes you need to reach those goals. And that is the key element that we human beings have to keep ourselves on top of the food chain. That is the only angle we have, the capacity to work together to create that community that can deliver those goals. I mentioned before what McKinsey said that Zhao had, that actually built his empire, the Portuguese empire. And EuRA has it too. You knew I wouldn't finish without a little mnemonic. I can't help myself. But Michael, we have another one. Look at what EuRA has. EuRA, the capacity to explore. Since I have known you, exploration has been the name of the game. Looking at new ways of doing things, looking at new services, looking at new ways of delivering service, looking at ways of educating people so that they comply with standards. Exploration. You, understanding. Now, here's the thing. That's why you come to conferences like this, to understand what's happening now. Because it's only with a clear understanding of what's happening now that you can possibly formulate an informed vision of what you should be doing in the future. R is for research, which leads, of course, inexorably to innovation. And again, in the body of this Kirk, the amount of research that's been done in terms of education, in terms of sustainability, is extraordinary. The answers are here in the room. And agility, like the caravel of Jowl. I have seen you weather wars, invasions, a pandemic, drought, flood, ash clouds. You are agile, you are nimble, you can respond. And it's that, EuRA, that's going to give you the competitive edge over this fifth revolution, this tsunami of artificial intelligence tools that is coming your way. So give yourselves a clap, because that's the challenge you face, and I ask you now to bear it like a Portuguese sailor and set sail beyond the horizon. And we speak of thanks and we speak of gratitude. It's my pleasure now to welcome to the stage your CEO, Tad Linden, and to thank, before he does, all the members of the board here present for everything they do for you. And I'm sure Tad will be thanking all the individuals who also support this conference and bring this good ship, EuRA, home safely. Tad.
Well, thank you very much, Frances. That's the first thank you. Anyway, next. So once again, thank you very much to our sponsors. Well, okay, so I'll start with a few more thank yous. I'd like to, first of all, Dominic to stand up, because I'd like you all to give him a clap, because he's our current filmmaker. And he dedicates quite a lot of time to doing that, and the films come out very, very well. I'd also like to thank the helpers that we have who come and work on the reception desk, who tell people where to go, who ask people who they really are and could they prove that they're attending the conference. But thank you to all of you, and if you're here, just wave. Most of them are over there, I think. And of course, thank you to Bryony, who makes sure that Dom and I behaves ourselves and are in the right place at the right time, and keeps us all. Where have you disappeared to? Oh, she's there. Solving a problem. But thank you to absolutely everybody. I'm trying to think exactly how my slides went. Well, never. Thank you, Dom. Flexibility.
Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Hey, having a mouse. Where are we? Vilamoura, that's the one.
Yeah, yeah. And it's the opening.
Opening?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And it's got version 2?
Yes, version 2.
Okay. So we've done that.
Yeah, we don't need that one.
You've done that one? Okay.
No. So, on to business. Obviously, we've done a lot in the last year, and one of the most important things that have changed over the last 12 months is that we have brought the EuRA Global Quality Seal Plus in-house. And I'd like to invite Martina Charvay to come and say a couple of words about how this is working.
Thank you so much. Yes, we are working agile. We are explore new ways. So we introduce the audit process 2.0. And that means it's much more affordable. It's all the audits will be online. And the whole process is managed by the EuRA office, by Marie. So we are much more organized and we are there for you. And I like to stand up our great mentors because that is another process we introduced to you. We have our two former presidents, Michelle Brankfeld and also Gunsten Lafgund, to be our mentors for the whole program. And they are there to help and support you. Give them a hand. Thank you so much. So they're well experienced and they are, relocation and the Global Quality Seal is part of their DNA. Then we have our famous lead auditor, and he is really experienced in the relocation business as well in the audit program, and he's here today to answer all your questions. So please stand up, Jochen Muscala. Thank you to have you here. So if you have more questions, we will have a session this afternoon. Please come on, and we have a stand out there in the hall. So we are there to answer all your questions. Have a great conference, and thank you so much.
Oh dear. I can't do this. It's not my finger. Right, okay, well, I do know what's coming next. The next part of this is to have some, to award some certificates to two people who have just achieved fellowship in the MIM program. So I'd like to invite Carmelina Lawton-Smith, who's our strategic consultant for education, to come up and present the certificates.
Thank you. How long do you want me to talk for?
Well, until that chair.
Half an hour, further? No. Right, okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to conference. Some of you may know me. I'm the strategic consultant for education, and we have a very big program of training which is available online, so able to be done remotely. And we have 3 designations up right through in terms of specialist areas at a number of levels. And the top level is what we call the fellowship, which involves, at the moment, writing a case study, which is often a piece of original research or something that takes the industry forward. And so we end up with some very interesting submissions in terms of things which are really moving us forward. And obviously, this conference is all about those new horizons and moving things forward. So we had a submission, which unusually is a joint submission. And going back to what Frances said about people working together, you kind of notice that we can achieve so much more when we do things together. So if anybody's interested in doing something with colleagues, then that is something that we would be very interested in. The submission that we had from René Stegman and from Anna Cavell, I hope I'm pronouncing those right, was a very interesting one about a concept called materiality, which I didn't know anything about, but effectively it's about how different parts of the world, different stakeholders, prioritize environmental, social, or governance issues in terms of when we do a request for pricing and different sort of stakeholders, how do they value those different aspects? Because they're very different in different parts of the world. And so they were identifying and did some original research, which basically gave us some information about how different countries, different cultures, different stakeholders will prioritize those different aspects in terms of what we focus on. Few things that it really did. It was a very interesting piece to read, and if anybody is interested and can find them on the app, they're prepared to share their findings. Very easy to read, mainly original. This bit about research that Frances said is really important. And lastly, useful in terms of actually helping us move our businesses forward, because it helps with quality seal, it helps with how we arrange things. So I would like to invite Renee and Anna up onto the stage, wherever they are. So if they would like to come along, give them a big round of applause. And I would just like to say that it was such an exceptional piece of work that it gained a distinction, so top marks. And I would really urge everyone to read it. And we have our certificates for Anna.
Oh, thank you so much.
There we are. And for Renee.
Thank you so much.
And I say I urge you all to have a chat to them, because they are very passionate and enthusiastic and really have some interesting information to share. Thank you.
Okay, so now I'm going to have a talk a little bit about what I've been up to, particularly in conjunction with the Coalition for Greener Mobility. For those of you who don't know, this is a coalition of 6 associations across the world who work in global mobility. And the first thing I'd like to do is just quickly identify the individuals behind these various organizations. So I will start with Steve Cryan, if you just stand up. From CERC, Nick from CHPA, which is corporate housing. That's me, EuRA. Jesse from FIDI. Mathieu from IAM. And finally, Anupam, who's somewhere. He's right at the back there. So we have been doing a lot to try and steer a course through the issue of sustainability. And in the last 18 months, we've managed to put together the Coalition for Greener Mobility website. We've put together a glossary of terms, because obviously across the industry, we all need to know what we're talking about. We've published blueprints for greener mobility for DSPs. Obviously, EuRA was responsible for that. For movers, that was FIDI, and corporate housing was CHPA. At this moment in time, we're in the middle of an RFP project where we're trying to gather together as much information in terms of what people are putting in RFPs relating to sustainability and also to DE&I, so that we can get someone to analyze this and come up with a definitive list of the sort of things that are being asked, and then maybe go back to corporates, go back to RMCs and say and identify what we believe is possible or not possible, and how we move forward as an industry and collectively make it easier for us all to do what we're asked to do. This is a fascinating project, and we're kind of in the middle of it at the moment. The other thing, in terms of EuRA in particular, we have been invited by FIDI to join their project on a carbon calculator. It was a FIDI initiative. It started back at the end of last year. EuRA is now supporting it. Dom and I had a meeting with Jesse and Magali, and we said, well, we better check with our board before we commit to spending this money. So we sent an email to our board. Within 4 hours, we had a decision. Jesse was absolutely mesmerized by the speed with which we got our decision. And effectively, EuRA is now part of that project. It was recently fully launched for movers, but obviously for DSPs, we need a pilot project. We talked about this yesterday in the Sustainability Symposium, and we are looking for between 10 and 12 DSPs to agree to be part of the pilot project so that we can actually run the thing properly through, make sure it's working, make sure it's agile. We got a few names yesterday, but we're still looking for organisations or DSPs to actually come to us and say they want to be part of this. We hope that this carbon calculator can be extended to other disciplines in the global relocation sector, but we have to we have to go bit by bit, get it right and move forward. I have to say there's one piece of information that I haven't mentioned. Our friends VD are offering this carbon calculator to their members for free. So are we. This is something you need, and if we can do something to give you added value, that's what we really want. However, there would be no carbon calculator without Magali. She's been up to her eyeballs in carbon all year. And as I said yesterday, she had to have a really good shower to clean herself off, get rid of all the excess carbon before she came to us. Thank you very much, Magali. You've done an absolutely brilliant job. And now I'd like to invite Bryony to come up on stage. There is a reason.
Thank you. Hello, this is the newest member of our team. So if you have any questions about the conference, don't come find me. Talk to one of these. So I am going to talk about, following on from all the sustainability projects that we've been doing with the coalition. Pardon? Oh. We're doing well with these presentations, aren't we? I'm going to talk about what we have done to try and make the conference more sustainable, because there's an awful lot of waste and plastic, etc., etc. So, search for some inspiration. What can we do? And I referred back to one of my favourite great thinkers, Kermit the Frog, who says it's not easy being green. But we thought about it, and what we've done, we've started from the very beginning. When we send out an RFP for a potential venue for the conference, we make sure we know their sustainability, how they're going to make sure that we have no waste, no plastic, so no single-use plastic. You know what hotels are like with their sustainability. We've then also looked at the thing that we keep going on and on about, that every delegate has to wear their name badge. So this year, I'm so excited. Lanyards are made from recycled plastic. Holders are made from recycled plastic. The actual badge itself is a piece of paper which can be recycled. And what we're saying is, when you leave the conference, either take this home with you and bring it back next year to use, or leave it with us and we will reuse. So we can reduce, recycle, reuse. We've got no bags this year. I know some people are disappointed that they didn't get to see the little video of Tad and Dom filling the bags, but that means we haven't got all unnecessary items of paper. We don't print out the programme anymore. We use the app. And we're just basically asking everybody to think before they print anything. So that's how we've tried to make the conference more sustainable. Oops. I just very quickly want to tell you some information about what's happening for the rest of this week. All the lunches this week are going to be in the Voyage restaurant, which is downstairs on level 00 of the hotel. I think today it's from 12:30, but if you check the app, that will give you the details of when lunches start. Tonight's drink reception, we were hoping to have up on the roof terrace, so you get lovely views. The hotel have advised that the wind is going to pick up quite a lot later, and it's going to rain potentially. So we're now moving the drinks reception into the area just outside the conference hall here. There is a lovely balcony, so if it is nice, we can go outside and still get some sunshine. The conference itself still has a wait list, so we're so fortunate that we're able to sell out every year and so quickly. The party night also has a wait list, So if anybody has decided that they're not actually going to attend the party, if you let us know, we have got people who would be very, very grateful so that they can attend. This year, we're also doing something new. We're doing a scavenger hunt. If you look on your conference app, on the main menu, you'll see something called scavenger hunt. You'll then be able to open up a barcode scanner and go around and find barcodes to scan to get points awarded. The person with the most points at the end of the conference will win a conference place for next year. So it's definitely worth doing. Now, the places that you can find the barcodes are on conference stands. Thank you, Ted. They're not, we've hidden some to try and make you go and investigate a little further. You can also, if you make a bid on the silent auction, take a picture of that bid, go down to our registration desk, and they will give you a barcode to scan as well. If you buy any of our charity items, again, you can scan and get points. So please have a go at the scavenger hunt. It's definitely a prize worth winning. Talking of the silent auction, that is located just outside at the top of the stairs, and the charity is an amazing charity. I'm going to leave that to be spoken about later. If you bid on the reveal film, we need to close that by midday on Thursday because we need to have a logo in order to include that during the closing of the conference. I'm trying to get this done quickly. Where next cards. Because we haven't got a bag, some of you will have spotted on your chairs there's a where next card which looks like that. If you haven't got one on your chair, we've got some more down at registration, so come and get them. Again, you can win a place at next year's conference. We've also got sunglasses, T-shirts, all sorts of merch. Come see us at registration. That's me done. Right, I'm leaving.
Okay, now I'd like to welcome Alistair and Isabel, the EuRA President and Vice President.
Bem-vindos. That's welcome in Portuguese. Bem-vindos a Vilamoura.
I'll say hello. So I just start by saying it's quite a relief when there's the occasional slide malfunction, because it kind of lowers everyone's expectations in terms of professionalism. Because as President and Vice President, we're asked to speak in public. It's terrifying enough, but after Frances. So you're told, go on stage and be as professional and polished as probably one of the best public speakers I've ever seen. So yeah, the odd slide malfunction is great. It's basically being asked like to go on stage and play the banjo when the Beatles have just finished Hey Jude. So that's how I feel right now. Okay, to be serious for one moment. I have a couple of serious points to start with, kind of housekeeping. So the first one is the conference code of conduct. For the first time this year, we published that on an email. The code of conduct is of paramount importance to us as an association. We want the conference to be safe and to be welcoming, and we've outlined some of the behaviour that we feel is not just inappropriate, but completely unacceptable. So it doesn't apply to anybody in this room, I wouldn't have thought, but the idea of publishing that and now on the EuRA website is to give everyone the confidence and to empower people to call that out. So after feedback from other conferences, other industries, we want everyone to feel like certain behaviour is completely unacceptable, and everybody will mention it either to one of the team or to each other, and it will become self-policing. So it's an important part that we'd like to stress. And then secondly, the other housekeeping element, in October we did a survey. We conducted a survey for all of our members, asking all aspects of the EuRA membership. We got a lot of really great feedback, a lot of thought-provoking, insightful feedback. But one thing that kind of came through loud and clear was that everybody really loves the conference as it is, doesn't want it to get too big, wouldn't like to attend a EuRA conference with 1,000 people potentially and being in a huge convention centre. So we're trying our best to keep the conference relatively small, I know when you go way back, sort of 20 years ago, the conference was 150, 200 people. We do want to try and limit the numbers to 650, 700 people as an absolute maximum, because that's what you've told us. That's what you've told us you like about attending. So as a result of that, we are putting more emphasis than ever on those people that may come to the conference without registering. So there are the scary pictures of Tad that say, wear your badge, which I'm not doing right now. So please all wear your colour-coded badge. But also, the next step of that is we ask everybody to put their photo on the app so you're easily recognisable. And also, if possible, don't have meetings with people that aren't registered to attend. We feel like we want to give the best possible experience to those people that have paid. So we're trying to actively discourage anyone that's here that hasn't paid to join the conference. So just 2 serious points of housekeeping. Right, now, we'll give you a quick update, quick EuRA update. Another slide malfunction is fine. Quick EuRA update on what's been happening over the last 12 months, kind of behind the scenes. So in Dublin, we celebrated our 25th anniversary, and that gave all of us kind of pause for thought. And one of the conversations we were having was looking back at the first 25 years, but then also trying to look forward, trying to imagine what EuRA or what our industry may look like in 25 years' time. I feel like right now, with so much uncertainty, not just in the world, but in our industry, it's impossible to do. We don't know what our industry will look like in 2049. So what we decided to do at least was have a conversation now to try and put forward a strategic roadmap, a direction of where the association may want to go. So we're kind of pointing in the right direction. So when we hit that point in 2049, all being well, we're still in a very healthy position. So some of those conversations we had were thinking long-term about the long-term benefits of all of our members and some of the things we're trying to achieve now and in the future. So we continued our top-down review, which you may remember we discussed in Dublin. It started with the values of EuRA, which I'm sure you all remember. So our values are to deliver collaboration, inspiration, education, and joy. Joy is important for the benefit of our EuRA membership. And then we also looked at our vision statement of what we're trying to achieve and then took it from there. So the top-down review started there and was looking at everything that we work on as an association. So one of those elements was to look at what was described as the maturity stage of our association. So we looked at strategy, we looked at leadership, at culture, transformation, and governance, and discussed all of those elements. And there's so much to consider, so many conversations that were kind of overlapping and, sometimes in a good way, maybe contradicting each other. So we enlisted the help of an external provider. She's a design thinker, and she came to our board meeting in November to try and help us frame some of those conversations so that we can then put that roadmap together and then revisit it at future board meetings to get some clarity on some quite complex and sort of high-level aspects of the association. And that was really interesting. It was quite challenging. We had some conversations that were probably quite difficult at some point, kind of out of our comfort zone. I definitely think it was worthwhile. So some of the things we discussed. The first one was we talked about should EuRA become a global association as we have more members from around the world and we have other members from other industry sectors. Should we look to change even the name or the branding or the essence of EuRA? And we voted to remain. Imagine that, we voted to remain. I can't remember, sounds familiar, but if only we'd voted to remain elsewhere, who'd have thought? But I was delighted that I could vote, and the result was remain. So we are remaining a European association. Our main conference every year will be held in Europe. We won't look to expand around the world. And we will still have destination service providers as our core members, but also we will evolve over time to reflect the kind of the diversity of our membership and reflect the fact that we do have lots of members, like I say, from around the world, lots of service department providers and immigration companies, but at our heart, we will remain European. And then we'll also be making changes to the Articles of Association. What does that mean, I hear you say? Well, basically, As an association, we have certain aspects that are written down and don't change. And so basically the process is somebody in our board meeting will have an idea. People will agree that it's a good idea and it possibly will lead to change within the association. And then somebody, normally Tad, will say, we probably need to run that by Gordon because it can potentially change the articles of association for things like how many members we have on the board, how long they spend on the board, whether we stick with board members representing regions or we scrap regions and just have Europe and global as two separate entities. So they're all things that form part of the Articles of Association. When they need to be changed, we speak to Gordon, we get the correct wording, and then they are voted on at the AGM this afternoon. So any full members of EuRA, if you're interested to know how things are changing, I'd definitely recommend you come along to the AGM this afternoon and you can vote. And then the final part of the process is, so then once we agree, the articles change and Tad chisels them into stone. So they form like a 10 commandments of EuRA, and then they're left in a magical, mythical place in the UK, which is called Dis. So it's no mountain, but there is just this place called, you can only refer to it as Dis, and then that's the Articles of Association, and then there's a whole process to start again if they need to change. So come along this afternoon if you want to be part of that process. Two more things. We also had a long conversation about our strategic consultants, so two of which you've seen on stage just now, Carmelina and Martina. We also have a strategic consultant, previously mentioned, Gordon Kerr, deals with all legal aspects of the association. And we also have Peggy Love, who is our strategic consultant for content of the conference. Now the conversation is, should we be increasing that to having somebody that can give us real expertise for the future of the association? So we're considering a strategic consultant for sustainability and one for digitization. So as we look to evolve and adapt, again, what Frances said earlier about artificial intelligence to begin with sounded terrifying. Thankfully, things got a little bit optimistic towards the end. Otherwise, I was thinking if we're all going to be made redundant, maybe we don't need a conference. Maybe we can just go for a drink. So thankfully, we can be optimistic and we can face those challenges head on. And I think one of those ways we may do that is to have a strategic consultant to help us with digitization and give us some advice on artificial intelligence and what's next for our industry. And then the final point is our amazing executive group work in smaller groups, working groups on specific topics. So between our virtual board huddle and between physical board meetings, we're getting together in groups of 2 or 3 to discuss specific topics and then come back to present just to try and make time more efficient and to maximize that face-to-face time when we're together. And so some of those topics have included the viability of a global conference, which we've done in the past. We've been to South Africa, we've been to India, thank you, been to Dubai, and we're looking at whether to consider doing that again, to take some of our training to some local environments. We're looking at the MIM training. We are again looking at artificial intelligence. We're considering certification for diversity, or whether that could be included in the EGQS, and also a global employee program where we're allowing organizations to share team members to work in different offices to pick up some useful information from other members. So that's it from me. I think that's a lot. There's a lot going on behind the scenes. I'll now hand over to Isabel.
No, it's fine. Well, how do we do what we do, as Alistair just described? We asked for some statistics, which probably will not be up, which is fine. I know them by heart. There they are. So this is in line with this commitment to continuous improvement, to remain dedicated to listening to you, because this is the European Relocation Association, or your association, and so we continue to be very as strict as we can to act upon your feedback. And I think it's never enough to ask you to, the more you participate in this association, the more we know and the more we can have data analytics to act upon all your matters. We all know, and especially as technology and the AI is coming out, is biting us, data-driven approach allows us to make better decisions. So we thought it would be interesting to share these very simple stats with you, so you know who we all are. EuRA has approximately 520 members. And am I supposed to do it? Okay. We have 520 members. There we go. And where are we from? We're from mainly Europe and 30% from worldwide members. Hence the change in the executive group, where we welcome our very first global member, Marie O'Neill, based in Dubai. And this was just a mere reflection of looking at our membership and make that reflect on the board and the executive group who make all these decisions. So the more we engage, the more we benefit from the offerings of our association. We see who we are, where we're from, and then we refer to the relevance of the information that we make available to you. And for that statistics, we asked our website guys to give us a little bit of the analytics to understand what you look for when you go to your website. And it's very interesting to see that from our reading, this you go specifically, you all know the website very well, and you go specific to what you want. It's not somewhere you will surf around. So as you can see, all these decisions that Alistair was talking, all these changes that we've been trying to implement, they are meant, and they are purely based on the information that we get from you. I think this is like any association, any club that you're a member of. The more you participate, the more you get out of it. And we have as only goal, as we look ahead and we envisage the future of this association, which is your association, guided by the European Bauhaus values. I hope you all know them. That means beautiful, sustainable, and together. We want you to have a conference experience that fosters this collaboration and innovation and growth in this community we've all been talking about. And speaking of community, over the years, we've also always been very proud of having a very generous audience and supporting a local charity. As we are in the Algarve, and mental health is such a widespread worldwide concern, I will ask Carolina from the...
One bit first.
Sorry?
My thanks bit first.
Oh, sorry, Carolina, we need to thank other people first. Sorry about that. But Carolina will be on stage from the Algarve Mental Health Association to talk more about what they do. They've been on for 33 years, and that's a lot, looking after people really in need. But just before we thank Carolina, Alistair has very important...
Exactly. More agility.
More agility.
Okay, so I know we're at the start of the conference, but I'd just like to thank two groups of people really quickly. So the first one is all of our speakers. And we thought the reason to thank our speakers now is to encourage as many of you as possible to go and see them. So not just the keynote speakers, but the panels and the sessions that have been put together. There's a huge amount of work that's gone in behind the scenes to create some really great content. So if you're able to go along and see our speakers, that would be amazing. And then don't forget to complete the evaluation on the app. Tell us what you think. And then we'll spend a lot of time at the next board meeting going through that evaluation and amending the program next year based on what you tell us. So that's really important. And the second thanks also that's really important is everything that I spoke about earlier, everything that we do behind the scenes, we do as a team. So I'd like to welcome the members of the team onto the stage. This is our executive group. You can see everyone's name on the screen. Hello, team. Hello, Governor. Hello, everybody. Coming in. And through. And it really is a team effort. So I love working with these guys. It can be quite a challenging environment. We definitely will test one another. We'll test different opinions, different ideas, which I think is really healthy. And I think then we'll come to a great conclusion that, again, is for the benefit of all of our members. So the thing that I mentioned really early on was about the Articles of Association and how things will change, which will be voted on at the AGM. So in terms of this group, how it'll change is, firstly, when Isabel and I stand down at the end of this conference, we won't be replaced. Not because we're irreplaceable, because we're definitely replaceable, but we've decided to take the group from 10 to 8. And then when the 8th person, their term is up, the group will change to 7. And we feel that 7 is a more efficient number. It'll allow for even quicker conversations, better decisions. So yeah, from 10 to 7, and then the amount of time spent on the board, the length of term previously was 6 years, and that will go down to 5, to get my numbers right, not 4, because we talked about it a lot. We finished on 5, 1 5-year term, and the president will stand for 1 year. So they're kind of changes that, again, Articles of Association. If you want to be a part of that process and vote, then please join us at the AGM. Okay, now there's the charity bit.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us and for supporting our cause. I'll be brief. So Algarve's Mental Health Association mission is to provide high quality and professional services in promoting mental health through education, training, support, and social and professional integration of its target audiences, which are people with mental health, people with mental health problems, people with disabilities, or any cognitive impairments. Once again, in behalf of the whole institution, I would like to thank you all for your generosity. Thank you so much.
I know we're running late, but we have one final thing, or one final duty to perform. So the award for outstanding contribution to relocation, we don't give this the whole time, but this year's recipient has been a trailblazer starting in the industry in the early 1990s. A pioneer of destination services across her region, she was one of the first people in our industry to see the potential of collaboration between partners. Working with a diverse portfolio of direct clients and later representing RMCs as well as DSPs, picking up many accolades along the way. She is universally respected, admired, and much loved. Sorry. Amongst EuRA members and me, a true servant leader, she has always put the needs of her teams and clients above her own, investing time and resources to ensure her people worked in a truly equitable environment. It's going to get worse. As a person and a EuRA leader becoming president in 2011, her work and dedication to our industry helped to forge EuRA into the inclusive organization it is today. Her calm demeanor was never more proven that when she called me to say that her house had burned down. Sorry. But the only emotion she felt was gratitude that everyone in her family was safe. I'd like to invite Francine Edmonds, because obviously I'm completely incapable of this. The last recipient from 2022 to present the award to this year's honoree.
How do you feel? You'll be all right.
Okay.
No. So, also, you know it's you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. I have no idea what to say because I'm totally shocked. You know, it's been a great pleasure. I sold my company last year, and it's been a great pleasure to be a part of EuRA. And it's that, I think, is the most difficult thing of all, is actually not being a member anymore as such. So when I was given the option to come in and be a mentor for the EGQS, I jumped at it. I mean, there's just so much you can do in your garden. Taking the dog for walks, learning how to play bridge. This is the life that I've loved, and I have so many good memories. So much fun.
And you've still got more to come.
There we go.
There you go.
So thank you once again.
Pleasure.
I'm so, so happy.
So now, as I say, we've got a coffee break for about 15 minutes, and then please come back and hear more about AI from Dan Sodergren. Thank you.